Hello, my name is Max, and today I'm going to be showing you how to install and use the Catalyst software from scratch. Please be ready to follow along using the links in the description or below this video guide on the SilvTech website. You may need to pause this video from time to time to follow each step, so without further ado, I'm going to just get right into it. I've already downloaded the Catalyst installer from SilvTech website, and I'm going to go ahead and run the installer. Just going to hit Let's Go, and it's going to pop up the program. Once the software is finished installing, you may drag it over to the side. We'll get back to that later. In order to use Catalyst, we will need a hypervisor. There are many hypervisors to choose from, but for this tutorial you will be using Virtualbox, which is an open source program that is free for personal and business use. So here I am at the Virtualbox website, and I'm going to go ahead and select Windows hosts. This is going to start a download in your browser, but for the sake of this, I have it right here. So I'm going to go ahead and open this. And I'm just going to go through the installation for Virtualbox. You don't have to make any changes. Everything is perfectly fine in its default state. And you can see we are done, and it's going to start the installation, or the program. Now that we have our hypervisor installed, we still need a Windows ISO to create our virtual machines with. To download the Windows Media Creation tool, we're going to go ahead and go to their website here, and we're going to select the operating system that we want to use in our virtual machines. So in my case, I will be using Windows 10. That is going to open up this website here, and we scroll down to Create Windows 10 Installation Media, and we hit Download Now. So let's go ahead and run this program and create a Windows ISO. After a little while loading, you'll see this screen here, which is the Microsoft license agreement. Go ahead and accept that if you accept that, and we'll go to the next step. On this screen, the Media Creation tool will ask you what you want to do, and what we want to do is create installation media. So we're going to select this and hit Next. On the Select Language Architecture and Edition screen, we're going to go ahead and leave everything as it is. There's no reason to change the recommended settings. On Choose Which Media to Use, we're going to select ISO File, and this is going to be the file that we use to run the operating system on the virtual machine. So I'm going to hit Next. It's going to ask me to save it somewhere. I'm just going to go ahead and save it here in the Documents folder. When the Installation Media tool is finished, just go ahead and click Finish. For our next step, we're going to go ahead and open the Oracle Virtualbox Manager. You just type in Oracle, and it's going to pop right up. So what we're going to go ahead and do here is we're going to create a new virtual machine. We're going to select New, and we're going to name it whatever we want. So I'm just going to call it Catalyst 1, and I'm going to go ahead and hit Next. For hardware settings, I would go ahead and recommend anywhere from 2 to 4 gigs per machine, but that's going to be based on your hardware you're working with. And for your processors, you can leave this at 1 for now. Most use cases will be good with just 1. For hard disk space, that's going to be also your personal preference based on what you're running in your machines. However, I'd recommend giving yourself some room to work with in case you decide to change your mind or do things different in the future. That way you don't have to adjust this later. Adjusting this later is a little more difficult than it is to set it up right now. After you've selected your disk size, we're going to go ahead and hit Next, and we're going to finish. Everything looks good. And now we have our very first virtual machine. Now that we've created our virtual machine, there's 2 more steps left to make sure it works correctly. Our first step is to go to Settings. We're going to right-click that and go to Settings, and we're going to open Storage, and we're going to select this here where it says Empty, and this is where we're going to put in our ISO file. So we're going to go over here. We're going to select this little icon down here. We're going to hit Choose a Disk File. We're going to find windows.iso. We're going to select that, and it's going to put the ISO file in the disk drive. So we're going to hit OK. Now that's in there. The final important step here that we need to do is we need to add a shared folder to our virtual machines. So we're going to go down here in our settings to shared folder, and we're going to hit plus, and we're going to select our folder path. And the folder path is important. It has to be exact. So we're going to go to our local disk. We're going to select SilvTech, then Catalyst, and then Controller. We're going to select Controller. We're going to click into it like this. And we're going to hit Select Folder. And the mount point has to be Z. It cannot be any other letter. And for the read-only settings, we must leave this one unchecked. And for auto mount, we have to check this, or else some settings will not work properly. So we're going to hit OK. OK. So now that we've been through all that, I'm going to go ahead and start up our virtual machine. And as you can see here, we're greeted with a standard Windows setup for a fresh operating system, and we're just going to go through that like we normally would. And if you have a product key, you can type it in now. If you don't have a product key yet, you can hit I don't have a product key and enter that later. And you're going to select the operating system that you're going to be using. I'm going to select Windows 10 Pro. I'm going to accept their license. And I'm going to say custom install Windows only. And I'm going to select next. Once your operating system is finished installing, you'll be met with this screen. You'll see it says, let's start with region. Is this right? We'll pick our appropriate region. Now this part's really important. So before we go ahead and hit OK, yes here, we're going to go ahead and we're going to turn off the network. And what we can do is we can go down here and we'll just right click this and disable connect network adapter. Because what's going to happen is we're going to hit yes, and then it's going to try and download bloatware onto this operating system, and we're not interested in that. So what we're going to do is we're going to just say I don't have internet, and we're going to continue with limited setup. And we can type any username in here, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to call it Catalyst. I'm going to hit next. And for password, I'm going to leave it blank, and I recommend you do too if you're going to use this software. I'm going to hit next. I'm going to turn all this stuff off. Accept. Not now. Just don't forget to turn your network back on once the setup finishes. Okay, so as we can see here, it is finished, and we're at our Windows screen that we're all familiar with. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to turn all this stuff off. Everything that's here that's going to be bloatware or whatever, I'm just going to get rid of it. I would strongly recommend at this point that we disable our Windows updates. So we're going to go here, and I hit Windows R to open this. You can just do it like this if you'd like. Go here and type run. It'll pop up this. We're going to type in gpedit.msc. If you're on Pro, this will be how you do it. What we're going to do is we're going to go to Computer Configuration, and we're going to go to Administrative Templates, and Windows Components, Windows Update, and we're going to double click on Configure Automatic Updates. What we're going to do is we're going to click the disabled button right here and hit apply. Now we've disabled updates, and they will not bother you in the future. Okay, so now that we have disabled everything that we need to disable, I'm going to go ahead and go down here, and I'm going to make sure I turn back on my network adapter. So I'm going to click this, and now my virtual machine has internet again. Next, we're going to install the guest editions for Virtualbox. So we're going to go up here to Devices, and we're going to click Insert Guest Edition CD Image. and that's going to insert a disk into our drive. When I go over here, you should be able to see it here now. We're going to double click this, and we're going to find VBox Windows Editions, this one right here, and I'm going to double click it, and we're going to run it, and we're just going to hit next, go through this process here. Your screen may flash a few times. And there we go. So now we're going to reboot. Okay, so now we're back, and we should now have our guest editions installed. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go here, and I'm going to uncheck auto resize guest display to keep your window size the same at all times. And I'm going to change my resolution, my virtual screen resolution, to 800 by 600. That's just my preference. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and attach this virtual machine to Catalyst. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to click File Explorer down here. I'm going to go to this PC. And if everything was done correctly, we should see this controller at Z here. It has to be this way. If it's not this way, you're going to have to go back and change it. So I'm going to go here, I'm going to open it, and we should see all these files. And we're going to go ahead and click Add Machine. We're going to double click Add Machine, and it should automatically restart. And now that our machine is restarted, you should be able to go down here after a little while and click this, and you should see Catalyst Node Receiver down here in your toolbar. If you see that there, then everything is working as intended. And to show you that your machine is registered in Catalyst, I'll go ahead and we can go ahead and log in here. Once you're logged in, we'll go ahead and we'll go to Command Center. And what we should see right here is that there is one machine in there, and that is this machine right here. So we have one machine in Catalyst so far. And at this point we're just about finished, but I'd like to show you one last thing. I would like to show you how to scale your environment. Let's say you want to run 20 of these. You have just one right now, but what if you want to run 20 of these at the same time? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to shut this machine down, this machine we just created. And now we're going to look at Virtualbox again, and here we have this machine. What I'm going to do is I'm going to right click this, I'm going to hit clone, and I'm going to name it Catalyst 2, and we're going to say generate new MAC addresses for all network adapters, and then we're just going to hit finish, and it's going to start cloning this machine. Once your cloning process is finished, you will see that indeed a second machine has popped up. Now we're going to go ahead and turn this one on, because there is one last thing we need to do in this before Catalyst can see this machine as well. So here we have our new machine that we just cloned. It's all started, and what we need to do to make this work with Catalyst is we need to change the computer name, because as you can see here, if I go and pull the controller over, currently it only shows Catalyst 1, and we have two machines. So what we're going to do to fix this is we're going to go here, we're going to go to File Explorer, and we're going to right click this PC and hit Properties, and we're going to rename this PC to Catalyst 2. Each computer you run with Catalyst will need its own name for it to work. So we're going to go ahead and hit Next and restart now. Okay, and now that our machine is restarted, we can go ahead and double check and see if this machine is in the command center by refreshing it. I'm just going to go here, I'm going to click All Machines, and there you have it. Now we have two. I would recommend that you get your virtual machine just how you like it before you start this process, because if you end up needing to make changes to them in the future, you might end up having to make changes to multiple of them instead of just one. So go ahead and get this as perfect as you would like it for what you're going to do before you start cloning it. And that just about covers our initial setup. So I hope you enjoyed this video and that it all made sense. In my next video, I will write a simple script using the script editor, and I will save it and I will deploy it to all of the machines. So I hope to see you then.